Habib, welcome
Good
back.
to see you.
How are you?
Yeah, good thing.
Hi.
How are you?
It feels like it's been ages.
Yeah, it's been a long time. How are you doing? I'm Habib Hajallie and I work as an artist. I just finished my 6-month residency at the Watts Gallery, making work in response to the Faces of Fame exhibition. The experience overall was really helpful for my development in my practice going forward. I've done around 5 residencies and each of them has been very different, but this was the longest residency I've ever taken part in.
So in terms of the artist residency programme, my role is, I suppose, really one of sort of oversight of the strategic artistic programmes that we have here, thinking with my team about the ways in which we can engage audiences, both in the work of our founding artists, George Frederick Watts and Mary Seton Watts, but also their circle, and thinking very much about the ways in which artists living and working today are really central to interpreting those ideas, challenging the ideas of our founders, contextualizing them.
With this particular residency, we had a show on at the time called Faces of Fame, and that was bringing together the work of G.F. Watts and artist and filmmaker Simon Frederick as well. And we wanted to give someone an opportunity to really use a 6-month period to research and develop their work further. So we put the residency application together. We went through a process of shortlisting and then we interviewed artists. There was a panel of us, so it was myself and Simon Frederick and also curator Emily Burns from the Watts Gallery. Habib was great in the interview, so he spoke really confidently about his work. He really seemed to understand the parameters of the show and to be already engaging in those ideas in his practice. It was an interesting dynamic for him that he was thinking about these 2 artists working, over 100 years apart, but thinking about similar ideas about who they might place in a Hall of Fame and why. We had 1 meeting a month. We obviously spoke a lot more than that as well, but it was really important to have those regular times to talk, and it gave me an opportunity to find out how Habib was doing, opportunities that he might like to explore, perhaps different people to meet in different teams, or we also looked at the archive room, so he was able to explore different things that would help contribute to his work whilst he was here.
Yeah, working with Charlie has been amazing. Yeah, she's been so helpful and just a great point of contact throughout. She'd go the extra mile. Anything I needed was never too much. Yeah, great person and a great artist herself. Yeah, just working here and having feedback from staff I was working with or the public really sort of helped to kind of galvanize my confidence.
I'm always really interested in, how can we create the very best environment for an artist to thrive, for their artistic practice to flourish, and that's really important. And there can be some tensions there. For example, from my perspective as an institution that is often centred and largely centred around the works of 2 artists living quite a long time ago, which is wonderful. We want that engagement, but at the same time, we also want to ensure that any artist who's with us has the freedom to critique, to challenge, to, disagree.
I found at the start of the residency, with a 6-month residency, sometimes you don't know where to begin. The best thing to do is when you have lots of ideas or you don't know where to start initially, is to just do something. I just dived straight in, and then I found that I had more ideas for works than I actually had time to create. So I wanted to create this Hall of Fame and sort of celebrate Black Britishness from a perspective that wasn't gonna pigeonhole anyone, pigeonhole myself or pigeonhole the figures. So the focus was on Black Britons that should be celebrated more, but from a perspective of British society as a whole. I resolutely say it's not my Hall of Fame, it's a Hall of Fame, it's a British Hall of Fame. Well, I wanted to create this imagined scene, so it's almost like they're in a dialogue with each other. So that's why I wanted the full figures. And if you'll notice, a lot of the time with my portraits, I leave the clothes unfinished, but for them, I felt it important to actually draw the full figures, draw the clothes, or the contours within that. And I leave these bits unfinished so you can see glimpses of text that I think are important to the overall narrative of the work. as well. So that should allow you as the viewer to look at the portraits, but also read little snippets that help bridge the gap between what I'm trying to convey in the artwork and what you perceive when you look at it. I felt really empowered by the people I worked with. They were very open to suggestions I had or to possibilities beyond the residency, which ultimately, fingers crossed, should be leading to the acquisition of my work to the gallery, which is something I couldn't even have envisioned.
It's really, I think, important to have a community of artists that we work with beyond their residency. It's wonderful to see like what's happening with their practice following the residency and where they're moving on to.
During the course of my residency, we exhibited the portrait I did of Sir Frank Bowling, who, although our works are completely different, he's an abstract painter, who he represents as a Briton and as a Great Britain. For me, it was something I wanted to capture in an artwork. And fortunately, that work, since completing the residency, I exhibited it at the New English Art Club at the Moore Galleries and won the Hermione Hammond Drawing Award, which was incredible.
Also, sometimes there are still opportunities to be involved in the work here, whether that's coming back and being part of one of the programmes, as I said before, the learning and engagement programmes, perhaps contributing as a freelance artist in some way to a workshop, a talk or an event.
I think something that I've definitely learned from the residency with Habib is that a more open framework where the artist has the freedom to really think about what they would like to produce, or perhaps nothing, is absolutely fine and actually is very liberating.
I always tell young artists, remember that judging panels change, briefs change. When you're filling out applications, be concise, get to the point, and don't fill in the word count. As cliche as it sounds, be yourself, don't try to fit into any specific hole. Just enjoy the process of making, enjoy that journey.